What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here. Welcome to our daily show where we discuss everything you need to know about on a daily basis, including money, investing, the stock market, the fourth stimulus package update, and stimulus check update. If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel yet, make sure to click the subscribe button down below. It's completely free to do so. And remember that new videos come out here every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And also, thanks for hitting the like button for us down below. Also, a quick reminder that there are scams in the comments section on all YouTube, Facebook, and other platforms as well. So if you see any phone numbers in the comments, sometimes they'll use my picture or even try to copy my name. Uh, it's a scam. I don't have any phone numbers for you to call. I don't have WhatsApp for you to contact me on or anything like that. So if you see anything like that in the comment section, it's a scam. I don't even use WhatsApp or have any phone numbers for you to call, and I will always have a check mark by my name down below in the comment section because I'm verified by YouTube. You can only get that with over 100,000 subscribers, so keep that in mind because there's a lot of scams going on right now. I always try to block them from the channel, but sometimes I don't see them for a few hours or something like that. So yeah, just keep that in mind. The stock market is plunging right now on multiple different fears, on fears of recession, fears of nuclear war, and fears of inflation. Yeah, there's a lot of different things going on right now. You can see here the Dow Jones plunged 900 points today alone, and the NASDAQ suffered its worst month since 2008, since we had that massive recession there in the tech bubble. So yeah, we got a lot of different things going on here right now, and I don't even know where to begin because there's so many things to talk about. Inflation, Putin threatening nuclear war for basically the whole world. The whole world. Russian state TV chief said here, believe it's yesterday Russian time, said that Putin would prefer a nuclear strike to defeat Ukraine as opposed to losing. Yeah, and on Russian TV, they talked about European countries threatened with nuclear strikes for assisting Ukraine. As you can see here on this picture, and they talked about how long it would take for the strikes to hit major cities. You can see here on air, Russia won. Russian propagandist Olga Skabiva and State Duma deputy from LDPR faction discussed how many seconds the Sarmat intercontinental ballistic missile would take to reach the capitals of Great Britain, Germany, and France, each of whom are supplying weapons to Ukraine. And there's video clips published on Telegram channels. One Sarmat, and that's it. The British Isles existed once, and now the British Isles don't exist anymore. Quote, I'm serious. Yeah, this is becoming very, very serious. And the United Russia Party tried to argue that Britain also has nuclear weapons, and if a Sarmat missile is used, quote, no one will survive in this war. Quote, no one will be left on the planet. We'll start over from scratch. But if no one's left on the planet, they won't be here either. This is unbelievable that they're even talking about this. She said the flight time to Kaliningrad to Berlin is 106 seconds. And from Kaliningrad to Paris is 200 seconds. And to London is 202 seconds. The flight time of these Sarmat missiles to the capitals of these countries that supply Ukraine with the most weapons is only a few minutes. Russia conducted a test launch of the Sarmat intercontinental ballistic missile. The United States Department of Defense said that they did not see this as a threat. And the Russian foreign minister says the possibility of nuclear conflict and an outbreak of World War III over Ukraine is serious and real. Yeah. So it makes sense here that the stock markets around the world are plummeting. And that's just really one of the reasons going on here. We also have massive inflation. We also have, you can see here directly from the Wall Street Journal, the US GDP actually fell in the first quarter of the US here. Just this information just came out here in the last 24 hours as the economy actually shrunk for the first time early in the pandemic. So even if the war situation doesn't get worse, the economy in the US has actually shrunk. It's actually fallen for the first time since early in the pandemic. So the economy in the US is no longer growing. So it depends on how you classify this, but a lot of people would consider this that we are in officially in a recession now. Again, different people have different classifications or definitions of a recession, but some people would say we're now in a recession. So, and it's weird because unemployment's really low. People have gone back to work, but yet the US GDP has fallen, has fallen. So, yeah, you can see here supply disruptions weigh on the economy, but consumers and businesses continue to spend. So, yeah, a lot of different things going on here. Also, Amazon had less earnings than expected. So a lot of people are buying less products on Amazon. And this was not expected because, again, if the economy is doing better, massive company like Amazon, who's actually the number two employer in the entire country, that should be more people should be buying on Amazon. Amazon stock actually today went down by 14% here today. A massive drop here just for one day, as you can see here. Yeah, that's a huge, massive drop. That puts it down well below a 1-year low. Although their stock is at almost $2,500 a share per share. So it is extremely expensive, but you can see here it is at a below a 1-year low. But you can see at a 5-year high, 5 years ago the stock was at $960 a share. Now it's at $2,500 a share. So still significant growth there. But this is kind of the problem that we're seeing here now. We're headed towards a recession or already in a recession. So the economy is on very shaky ground right now. But probably to nobody's surprise, the oil companies and gas companies post massive profits here today. Exxon and Chevron posted their profits here today. You can see the headlines here. Exxon Chevron post massive quarter 1 profits amid soaring gas prices. Yeah, and this is why that lawmakers are calling to. I'll show you the next headline here. I'll show you the next headline here. Lawmakers and progressives seize on quarterly oil profits to call for a windfall tax where they want to tax oil companies on their excess profits that they're basically gouging consumers. They want to tax them on these and distribute them as stimulus checks. Here's another headline that kind of sums it up pretty well. Democrats have unveiled a plan or bill to issue quarterly stimulus checks to Americans by taxing oil companies posting huge profits. They would tax the oil companies if they can get this passed and then redistribute those taxes by using that money to send out stimulus checks. And this kind of shows you how massive their profits are right now on oil and gas. They're literally making more money than they ever have before. Energy giants Chevron Corp and ExxonMobil on Friday posted huge profits bolstered by sky high gas prices and told investors that they plan to keep oil production mostly flat. So they're not even going to increase production because they want to keep those gas prices high. Chevron raked in $6.3 billion in the first quarter alone, quadrupling its profit from the same period last year. Wow. Isn't that crazy? While Exxon brought in $5.5 billion, more than double last year's first quarter haul. That paragraph just sums it up. Chevron makes 4 times more profit than they did last year, and Exxon made more than double their profits from last quarter last year. Wow. The oil and gas companies are among the biggest beneficiaries of soaring gas prices, which rose 44% in the U.S. over the last 12 months, according to AAA. Crude oil remains above $100 a barrel amid supply constraints stemming from the pandemic and Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Or it's just the oil and gas companies just gouging us. I mean, they're the ones making all the money. It's clear to see right here. It's just insane. Absolutely insane. Despite calls from the Biden administration to increase oil production to bring consumer prices down, Chevron and Exxon executives on Friday said that they instead would just keep production relatively flat. Imagine that. Exxon instead announces plans to triple its stock price repurchases to $30 billion through 2023. Wow. While Chevron said they would repurchase a record $10 billion of stock by the end of this year alone. So honestly, guys, this shows you where they want to spend the money. They don't want to increase production to lower the price of gas. They instead want to purchase $40 billion of stock to help their stockholders. It's literally right here in writing. Quote, I want to acknowledge the very real impact the high prices are having on families all around the world, said Exxon CEO Darren Woods on the earning call. Yeah, right. You may recall that we anticipated this in 2020 with industry investment levels well below those required to offset depletion. Major shareholders have urged oil and gas giants not to invest too much in new production, arguing that those capital expenditures could turn into bad investments when oil prices inevitably drop. Still, the first huge quarter profits and buyback programs announced on Friday, which come as huge gas prices hammer low and middle income Americans, are certain to draw scorn from liberal groups and Democratic lawmakers who have accused the industry of price gouging. There's no secret as to why their profits are surging and soaring. Big oil has fixed cost of production, while the market price of oil is skyrocketing, thanks to Russia's invasion of Ukraine and other reasons. This is a classic situation of windfall profits, says Robert Weissman, president of Public Citizen, said in a statement calling for reports for a windfall tax on oil giants. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer said on Thursday, unveiled legislation to empower regulators to hit oil and gas companies with penalties for keeping consumer prices high while returning the resulting profits to shareholders. Quote, they're hoarding the windfall while keeping prices high for people at the pump, Pelosi said during a press briefing in the Capitol. In this time of war, in any time, there is no excuse for big oil companies to profiteer to price gouging or exploit families. So this is the core of the problem, guys. This is the core of the problem is that these oil companies have just reported record profits. They just reported their quarter one profits here, the highest they've ever had. And they just reported to their shareholders. You can literally go listen to their shareholder um, announcements, their meetings. They're public, okay? Um, they're not going to increase production. They're not going to increase the supply because if they do that, they'll bring the price of oil and gas down. So there you have it. So yeah, these oil companies know exactly what they're doing. So when they give you that talk that, oh, it's not our fault, the government won't let us increase supply, blah blah blah. It's whatever reason, blah blah blah. The reality of it is they know exactly what they're doing. They know exactly what they're doing. They're just trying to make as much money as possible. And if it wasn't at the expense of all the regular Americans, on one hand, I'd be like, okay, well, they're a company trying to make money, but it's a little different here because these are companies making billions. They're making $6 billion per company per quarter. And when you add up all these gas companies, I think it added up to like $200 billion last year alone. And now they're making even more money. It's just insane. It's just insane. And they know exactly what they're doing. And it's at the expense of us. It's just like the healthcare industry. It's something you have to have. You have to have gas. You have to have healthcare. It's something you can't go without. And that's why, I think going forward, the government and our country has to start switching away from gas a little bit. I know that we can't switch away from gas completely, um, but just starting to a little bit get some cars on electric, get some of our power grid on solar and wind and nuclear and stuff like that, so we're not as much reliant on gas is a good thing. Is a good thing. In fact, on March 29th, the U.S. actually had wind power. I'll show you right here on the screen so you guys believe it. Yeah, you can see here on March 29th, exactly a month ago today, wind power overtook coal and nuclear for the first time that it overtook both of them and was the number two power source for power, not for cars, because obviously you can't power a car by wind. But it was the number two power source in the country, for the United States, which is really, really good because again, now obviously wind can vary by the day, solar can vary by the day, nuclear doesn't really vary so much, but this is a really good thing because these are supplementary power sources for our country. And what's really good about these is that you basically build wind, you build nuclear, and you build solar and these renewable type energies you basically build them once and then you have very little maintenance. Sometimes you need to replace the blades, sometimes you need some maintenance on solar, you might need to replace some panels, but it's very very few, very very few. Where the difference with like coal and natural gas, by the way, natural gas was the number one power source there. Okay, so number one was natural gas. Wind overtook was number two there only on that one specific day. It's not number two all the time. Okay. But it just shows you that a lot of these alternative sources are really starting to come into play and they can really help kind of take gas away and not be so reliant for our country, right? So going forward is that we start to get more solar, we start to get more wind, we start to get more nuclear, we start to get more, alternative sources. So they all just start to help, okay? So that we have some gas, we have some natural gas, we have some coal, we have some wind, we have some solar, we have some nuclear, et cetera, right? And this way, when the price of gas is sky high, we're not so reliant on it. And then we have wind. And then when the wind dies down and it's not producing as much, all right, no big deal. We have all these other ones. Then we have solar. And when nighttime comes, okay, great. We have all these other ones, right? And solar can produce 10% of our electricity, and wind can produce 10% of our electricity. The problem with non renewable things like coal and natural gas is that as soon as you dig them up, think about how much work it takes to dig these things up, to dig up the gas, dig up the coal. You burn them and then they're gone instantly. Where like when you put up solar panels or you put up wind panels, they're there and they're working day after day after day for many, many years without any work. That's why those things are kind of much more the future as opposed to, oh, we have to go dig up more coal, we have to go dig up more gas every single day. And as soon as we use it, it's gone, right? And we have to continue to pay for it every single day. So that's where a lot of these things are kind of the future for our country. They're not going to be the number one source. We can't rely on solar and wind 100%. Some houses can, like a specific house can maybe rely on solar, but our whole economy can't. you know but this is kind of like part of the future. That's why we can't rely on gas, because you look at these gas companies, they're just gouging us to the hilt, man. It's just and we can't rely on the gas companies to have our back. They're out for themselves. They're out for number one, right? They're out to make, they're literally going to tell you, oh, we're so sad for these people that have to pay more for gas, and then they're literally, what do? We're not going to increase production, and we're going to give money back to our shareholders. So that's the reality of things, is that they literally just announced it. Two major oil companies just announced for the next quarter they're not going to increase production. They could increase production, but they're choosing not to. So anybody that tells you differently is that that's what the oil companies just announced to their shareholders. So that's the reality of things, guys. So yeah, I'll keep you up to date here with everything going on here in our future, in our country. Let me know your thoughts. There's a lot going on here. Remember, new videos come out here every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Don't miss out on any new videos here. Make sure to subscribe. I'll keep you up to date here. You can click here to watch my newest video next, which was just about a big stimulus check update. And you can click here to see a new video about SNAP benefits and pandemic EBT benefits that I just did as well. So click on one of those videos next. Thanks, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.